This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now, this, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter.
The cinematic universe, as a concept, has gained immense popularity since 2012's The Avengers. This box office juggernaut kicked off the Marvel Cinematic Universe and brought the idea of long-form narratives and interconnected storytelling to the mainstream audience. However, this was far from the first time that crossovers and shared universes have been presented to cinemagoers. Thought to be the originator of the shared universe on screen, Universal Pictures produced several films that saw their legacy monsters come together in Frankenstein Meets a Wolfman, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, and of course the unforgettable Abbott and Costello films. These films introduced the concept of crossovers, but in a much more light-hearted way than we see today, neither taking themselves too seriously or attempting to tell a story on a larger scale beyond the single films. That concept wouldn't really find much success until George Lucas introduced the world to his space opera, Star Wars, beginning his 6-part saga in 1977 and concluding in 2005. 3 years later, in 2008, Jon Favreau's massive hit Iron Man ended with a post-credit scene that introduced the concept that would eventually culminate in 2012's The Avengers, which would then launch the even larger narrative that would see a satisfying and unbelievably successful end in 2019's Endgame. But this unprecedented success naturally drew the attention of just about every other studio looking to capitalize on audiences' hunger for another experience just like the one Marvel had delivered. But the problem with this form of storytelling was that it was never really what general audiences have wanted going into a movie-going experience, and certainly not one that production companies have wanted to produce. It relies on an unbelievable amount of patience from both a studio that needs to take the time to build up a larger world, spending quite a lot of money that they might not see an immediate return on, and an audience that would need to follow along both individual storylines and larger overarching stories woven within each film. And it seems like this model simply doesn't work, with the Avenger films being more of an anomaly, capitalizing on the perfect storm of having the perfect cast, incredible talent behind the camera, perfect timing, and being more or less the first of its kind. Outside of the original Avengers storyline, not even the Marvel Cinematic Universe is able to pull off this type of storytelling, which seems to come down to a shift in focus, that shift being completely on large concept and almost completely ignoring individual work, and broadly speaking, what the general audience looks for in a movie-going experience. When you think about the most successful and the most well-loved superhero films ever made, they all share a common theme. They simply tell a great story, with no ulterior motive or cheap attempt to entice you to see the next product. They give their audiences exactly what they want. This brings us to James Gunn's recent announcement. His focus seems to be the same as every other studio head, announcing a massive lineup of films and series about characters that the general audience either knows nothing about or simply doesn't care about. He's attempting to create another cinematic universe when just a simple, well-made film focusing on the story of a single character everyone knows might be the best move forward.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.